Hi, everybody. Uh, for anyone that caught my last video, again, I apologize for using so much profanity. That is not normally who I am, or at least not around women and children. So, continuing on, we are working with the top piece of the firewall, which is really cool because you can finally see what the top shape of your cowling is going to be as you look out. That's that sort of curve at the bottom. We are just doing a little bit of prep there. There's really not much. This is the least amount of prep of any piece ever that has such a big thing. It's like dimpled 10 holes, and that's pretty much it. Then you clean off the edge because what we're going to use is some firewall sealant. Now the instructions tell you to use fuel tank sealant, which is fine. Fuel tank sealant works great. But what I chose to use instead is actual firewall sealant. Not like the tank sealant. So they do actually make firewall sealant that's just like the tank sealant. That's a two-piece vulcanized rubber epoxy basically, but is rated for firewall usage. I think 500 degrees, 600 degrees. It's got some kind of really high melting point. And that's perfectly acceptable to use as well. What I have is basically firewall and a tube. You can see it sitting there on the desk. The instructions say to put a 1/16 inch rib or line of it where the firewall pieces meet. I just slather it on. It all squeezes out. And you start riveting, that stuff just comes on out. But it works, and it does harden, and helps with with the firewall actual fire prevention part, which you can see me applying thusly. So there you go. There's all the pieces lined up and ready to be clecoed. Clecoing them is kind of a pain in the butt because you got to go from underneath it. There it is. There it is. Look at it. That's the two pieces of the pass-through tunnel, which I'm going to find a way to make cup holders on. More about that later. And then it's just riveting away. Now, one of the things the instructions tells you is that, once you get everything clecoed up, and you've got some sealant in there and everything is in, there's, so that, like I had mentioned, this is also where the motor mount attaches to. It's not just a firewall and stiffeners for firewall's sake. This thing also holds the engine. That's heavy. So you've got a lot of extra layers in the corners, extra gussets, stiffeners. It's all there. It's very thick. So once you have all of that clecoed up and you're ready to go, the instructions just say, if need be, final drill out the hole, which is a number 30 or number 40. Right? Normally you would always do this ahead of time. And normally, and I did, right? So, I put the pieces together, I final drilled to make sure they all fit. Great. You do some prime, and prime can leave a little bit of residue on the inside of a hole. And you have to drill it out. And yes, that happens. But even as you're riveting, if things move around by tenth of a micrometer, eventually you could get a rivet stuck. It's amazing how little it takes to get a rivet stuck. So if you can't push a rivet through, instructions say go ahead and drill. Of course, when I do that, I always make sure to very lightly oil the drill bit. That'll take out any chunks with it. Then I can just blow the little hole dry. I didn't have to because all my holes work. So there I am actually working on, I think those are the gussets. Yes. So the gussets are nothing more than just corner reinforcement pieces. I think we wind up having like 3 pieces there that are about, don't remember, but you got to use 7 length rivets. So it is pretty thick. And as I had mentioned before, there I'm having to prime inside because I can't move everything anymore. So yeah, as I mentioned, oh hell, what was I talking about? Lost my train of thought. Couldn't have been that important. Oh yeah, so all the holes inside these firewall pieces are all dimpled so that the front is flush. So these are number 7s with flush mount rivets. So those are pretty long. So that's a lot of metal in there. And I thought about it, it's like, so stainless steel and aluminum together. Technically, it's not like aluminum and aluminum together, which can corrode. I wonder if aluminum and steel together can corrode. Look, 2 pieces of metal with liquid in between is a battery, right? Doesn't matter what 2 they are. Sure, different metals have different, electrical potentials and different conductivity rates. Yes. But it's still aluminum that you don't want to corrode. So, all that doesn't look like it on the backside, wherever I do have pieces riveted together, I do have primer. I mean, what's the worst case scenario that's going to happen, right? There's a huge fire, it's going to, burn the primer, and I'm going to choke on primer fumes? No. Not going to happen. So, yep, just riveting away. In the next video, we will continue with the firewall riveting. And, yeah, so see you soon.